Howdy. Hey, the other day I was messing around and noticed that I noticed my generator, my backup generator in my shed out there. Noticed it was sitting there and I forgot I had it. And it might have been a couple years since I've had to use it. And I've, I have not been a good owner. I haven't started it. So I thought, well, I better start it up, make sure it'll run because now it's fall and if we lose electricity out in the country, we're not going to get any heat, so I really need to make sure it works. So I pulled it out of the joint with every intention of just starting it and letting it run for a few minutes and parking it again. But it wouldn't start. First time in 10 or over 10 years I've had it. It always just started within two pulls, even after it was set for months. And then I got to thinking back, when was the last time I started it? It's been a long time. So it might have been over a year, maybe close to 2 years since I started it. We haven't lost power for more than 10 minutes in our house in a long time. But anyway, I was pulling on it, thinking, oh, it's got to start, it's got to start. It always starts, but it didn't. And so I pulled off the air cleaner, and I thought I could smell gas, but I wasn't sure. So I thought, well, maybe I just flooded it. So I turned to make sure the choke was off, and I pulled it a few times. And after about 10 more pulls, it actually did fire up for about 2 seconds. And then it was popping and shaking and banging and just acting a fool. I even saw fire come out through the air cleaner, where the air cleaner should have been. Anyway, I uh, I was beside myself because it was, this Honda generator has been such a really dependable machine. So I decided maybe it was out of gas since I did hear it run for a second, it acted like it was just kind of a few drips of gas and it was running and stopped. So I thought maybe the carburetor float in it had stuck from sitting there up all the time. So I knelt down there and started looking at it. I've never had to work on it except for changing the oil and put a spark plug in it. And I realized it had a carburetor on it just like Honda puts on their, or used to put on their motorcycles. And on those, they had a little drain line that came down. And if you wanted to let the fuel out of your carburetor, you could take out a little screw and it would drain through that tube. Well, this one didn't have the tube, but it had the line, place for the line to be. So I took a rag and just watered it up, stuck it on there, and unscrewed the little needle valve that keeps the gas in the bowl. And sure enough, a little fluid came out. But it looked really clear, and I thought it would be, if anything, it'd be real yellow since it's been in there for over a year. But I could smell it. It smelled like gas, so I hurried up and closed it again. I probably lost a tablespoon, no more than 2 tablespoons. So then I had this rag, I smelled it. Sure enough, it smelled like gas. It didn't smell like bad gas. Bad gas has an odd smell. Anyway, after I tightened it up, just for grins and giggles, I gave it a pull. And lo and behold, it started up and kept running. It shook a little bit when I first started. It kind of hesitated and popped a little bit, but then it started running pretty smooth. So I thought, well, geez, now what? So, well, I'll take it out in front of my garage. I was getting ready to blow the leaves off my driveway, and it's an electric leaf blower, and it only has so much cord. I thought I'll just take it out there. I won't have to get all that cord out, and I'll just plug it in there, and I'll just run the leaf blower. That'll put a little load on it and run some gas through it. And I thought, well, I'll just let it run I'll run all that gas out and start over. The tank is great big, and I didn't want to take it off and dump it. So I'm running it. I've run it for a couple hours. I put it on load. Hooked it onto the heater in my wife's sewing room and turned it on high. Hooked it up to my battery charger, hooked up the air compressor, hooked it up to all kinds of things. And I did this for about 2.5 hours. And last it was starting to get dark. I didn't want to leave it out all night. So I decided I'll just turn it off. I unplugged everything, turned it off, see if it'd restart. Sure enough, one pull and started right up. So I'm thinking there probably was a few drops of water in that gas. because I remember I told you it was really clear, and I expected it to be kind of yellow. So just let that be a warning to y'all and me, myself and you, that if you have a generator or something you run infrequently, but it's pretty important that it runs. I mean, if your lawnmower won't run, yeah, the grass just keeps growing. But if a generator won't run, your house could freeze up, or you know, nothing you have will work. You can't charge your phones, you can't watch the internet, you can't do anything. So my well runs off electricity, my furnace, just about everything I have uses some electricity. I mean, yeah, my furnace runs on gas, but it has to have electricity to know how to do it. So I'm just saying, go out and check your generator, and if it's a Honda or if it runs on gasoline and it hasn't ran for a long time, you know, you need to start it I'd say every 3 months anyway. Hopefully I can force myself to remember to do that, but you know, I've used it so infrequently, I don't think I've had to actually run the house off of it in a couple of years. And that's when you really run it. One time I ran it for 5 days straight. We ran the air conditioner off of it, we ran all kinds of things. It has 220. As far as I'm concerned, a backup generator, if it doesn't have 220, might as well not even have it. You might run your refrigerator or something, but most things like wells and air conditioners run on 220. So just let that sink in a little bit, and next time you get a minute or two, just go out and crank up your generator and let it run for a little bit. I put Sta-bil in mine, but it had Sta-bil in it to begin with. I mean, I know when I fill that generator up, I put Sta-bil in it every time. So, but Sta-bil can't get rid of water. It just keeps it from turning into mud. All right. Have a good winter. Thanksgiving's only like a week away. Jeez. So, I got some new projects I'm going to be putting on video pretty soon. Not a lot of small engine videos. For one thing, small engines aren't used much in the wintertime, except snowblowers. And mine's a 2-cycle, so it usually starts anyway. I'll let you go. Thanks for watching. Come back sometime. Bye. Oh, by the way, there's a video of that generator after this little talk I had. So stay tuned. Here it comes. Okay, hopefully this will catch enough light that you can see it. Okay, here's the carburetor. You see this little screw right there? If you look below it, you may not be able to see it, but there's a little place you could actually put a hose on it if you wanted to. I just laid a rag under here. I took this out. You don't have to take it all the way out, but I did. I took it out and let some of the gas that was in the carburetor flow into that rag. Of course, I had it wouldn't run, so it wasn't running. I wouldn't want to do it while I was running. And I didn't put it in a jar or anything. I really did it just to make sure there was gas in the carburetor. I screwed this back in after it ran for maybe 20 seconds. Got rid of the rag that was covered with gasoline. It smelled like gasoline. Cranked it right up. There must have been a little bit of water in there to condensate from sitting forever. Some of this gas has probably been in here for 5 years. So I've been running this thing for maybe 2.5 hours. This is evidently got a huge tank. So now I'm going to try to restart it without adding any gas or anything. Let's see if it'll restart. And if it does, I'm just going to fill it back up with gas and put a little more Sta-bil in it and call it done. I'm going to try to hold this camera as still as I can while I try to start it. All I did was turn off the key, or the switch. This is what we've got here. Turn it on. I'm going to give it a pull. I'm not going to choke it or anything. Let's see what happens. Go. There's a Honda engine. You can see what it is. Good deal. Okay, that was it. So if you get an engine that won't start after set for months, and you can try that. It works for me. Bye.